All right, let's jump right into this. Today, we're cracking open Stephen Kotler's The Art of Impossible. Now, this book tackles a massive question. Can you actually learn to do the impossible? I mean, is there a real, honest-to-goodness formula for peak performance? Well, that's exactly what we're going to explore. Just think about it for a second. Have you ever seen something that just broke your brain? Maybe it was a magician's trick or an athlete doing something that just shouldn't be physically possible. We've all had those moments where you just have to ask, how? For the author, Stephen Kotler, that single question, how, it became a lifelong obsession. And the crazy thing is, it didn't start in some high-tech lab or on a mountaintop. Nope, it all started with a simple magic trick in his living room. So, picture this. Kotler's just a kid. He's 9 years old. His little brother, who's 7, comes up to him with his little red sponge ball. He puts the ball in one fist, opens his hand, and it's gone. I mean, it just vanished. Poof. Gone. To a 9-year-old kid, this wasn't just a trick. It felt like his brother had literally just bent the rules of reality right there in front of him. But that feeling of pure magic, it didn't last. And this is the light bulb moment. Kotler starts thinking, okay, my brother isn't actually magic. And if that's true, it means what he did only looked impossible. And if it only looked impossible, well, there had to be a trick, a method, a process, a formula. And that one thought changed everything. So how does that little spark of curiosity grow into a full-blown investigation? Well, Kotler took that search for a formula from the living room right to the front lines of what humans are capable of. Now, before we go any further, it's super important to understand how Kotler talks about impossible. He actually splits it into two different things. You've got impossible with a capital I. That's the big world-changing stuff. Breaking the 4-minute mile, landing on the moon. But then there's impossible with a lowercase I, and that's all about us, the things we personally believe are beyond our limits. The cool part? The book says the formula works for both. So, fast forward to the 1990s, Kotler's a journalist, and he finds himself smack in the middle of this absolute explosion in action and adventure sports. He had a front row seat watching skiers, snowboarders, and surfers completely tear up the rulebook on what was humanly possible. I mean, the progress was happening so fast, it was just insane. Even the legends of these sports, like snowboarder Jeremy Jones, couldn't wrap their heads around it. He called it brain scrambling. A trick that was considered impossible in the morning would be old news by that evening. Okay, so this is where things really start to heat up. Kotler's not just reporting on this stuff anymore. He's on a mission. He's trying to connect the dots and find the common thread running through all these incredible achievements. And what he realized was so important. These athletes weren't just doing it for fame or money. They were so deep in this state of high-stakes focus that they were tapping into something really fundamental about being human. Their performance wasn't just impressive, it demanded a scientific explanation. And this brings us right back to the original question. Could the hidden formula behind a simple magic trick be the very same one that lets a surfer ride a 100-foot wave? Is there some kind of universal code for doing the impossible? Well, the answer he found wasn't about willpower or having some special kind of personality. It turns out the secret is much, much deeper, and it's something every single one of us has. Get this. The formula for the impossible, it's not in our psychology, it's in our neurobiology. See, Kotler figured out that personality traits don't really scale. What works for one person might not work for you. But biology scales for everyone. The basic wiring of our brains is universal, and that's where the answer lies. And that universal biological state has a name you've probably heard before: flow. You might know it as being in the zone. The book defines it perfectly as an optimal state of consciousness where we feel our best and perform our best. It's that state where time seems to disappear, you feel incredible, and your performance just goes through the roof. This is the biological engine of the impossible. Okay, so if flow is the big secret, then the next question is obvious, right? How do we get more of it? Well, the book lays out a clear step-by-step system for doing exactly that. Let's take a quick look. The Art of Impossible is basically built around these 4 pillars. It all starts with motivation, the fuel for the fire. Then you move on to learning how to get the skills you need fast. After that comes creativity for solving all the problems that will definitely pop up. And all 3 of these are designed to do one thing: drive you into a state of flow where you can really start to make things happen. And here's the most important part. This isn't just a list of good ideas. It's a system, a feedback loop where each piece builds on the next. And by working on these skills, you can seriously speed up your own journey toward whatever your impossible might be. So, what we've really touched on today is the big idea that the secret to peak performance isn't magic, it's biology. It's a trainable system based on motivation, learning, creativity, and flow. This is just the introduction, and all the other chapters will be uploaded soon. In those, we'll dive deep into the how-to for each of these pillars and really unpack the code of the impossible step by step.